Well, there's no,
Not really, because we forgot to tell you to record it, and so that was our fault.
of course. Well, we wouldn't let that happen, and everybody in here reminded us early to make sure we had the ticket. Hi, Pastor. To get started this morning, we'd like to meet John Blakely. John Blakely is our finance manager, the one that we have questions about budgets or money or funding, anything like that, and John is our go-to guy. So, John, I'd like to talk to you for just a couple of minutes about a few things related to finance.
Good morning. Has everybody received their envelopes and everybody's got that? Did anybody talk to you about the blue and the green envelopes? The blue is for the capital campaign. If you want to make a contribution, that will end in November. Okay, that's what the blue ones are for. The green ones are up there all the time, and you use those when you make a contribution for altar flowers, lilies, boards. You just put your envelope number on it, and the counters will see that and they'll record it. The counters give me the counter sheets, and I do all the posting for the offerings. So if you have any questions about your offering statements, contact me. Your offering statements will look something like this. And my name will be halfway down there with the contact person, or my contact information. And we'll send this out quarterly and at the end of the year. Okay? If you want to do a direct deposit instead of checks, you can go to the church's website. And on the website, up in the left-hand corner, you'll see My Online Offerings. Click on that, and this sheet shows up, this page. Underneath the first paragraph, you'll see a company called Vanco, V-A-N-C-O. It's right down here. Click on that, it'll take you to the Vanco website. I've got some copies up here for anybody who wants to pick them up. The Vanco website looks like this. They will not ask you for your social security number. They'll not ask you for your address, just your name, your routing number, your checking account number, if it's a one-time donation, if it's a recurring donations. I'll ask you that type of information. It will also assign a 7 or 8 digit member number. Delete it. Put your envelope number in there. That would help me later on to post your offerings to your offering statement. I think that's about all I have. Anybody has a question?
So on the app, it's on the phone, it's doing that, so it has a drop-down menu instead of offering. So if I pick that, put in a reoccurring, will you see in that when it comes across?
I will see it later.
Okay, but it'll designate its offering or whatever.
It'll give you a list of funds.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you want to make sure that when you get quarterly statements from John, you verify the quarterly statement matches
Yeah,
up.
because they had a merger on that, and it got all cocked up. It wouldn't let you change credit cards or nothing, it got all screwed up and messed up for about a month.
Right.
Now it's fixed.
We hope.
I kind of dropped off of it, sent them a check, and then come back, and it's set up now so where it's fixed, because it was really jacked
I
up.
think Private was involved in this, they changed the company.
Yeah.
They went to Vanco.
And then the phone number you couldn't get a hold of anyway. It's classic customer service.
But they did ask you if you'd like to renew your auto warranty.
Yeah.
Any
I
questions?
think that's all I had, unless somebody has something else.
Thank you, John.
Okay, I'm gonna leave.
All right.
So I'll leave, if anybody's interested, I'll leave copies of that up here. You can pick it up at the end of the hour. I'll put it right there.
No.
And we'll see you guys later.
Thank you. I think most of you will have remembered Trenton Travis, chairman of our Board of Evangelism, and he's going to talk on a couple of things today. So.
Yeah, I'd just like to talk about one thing. So, yeah, as Phil said, my name's Trent Travis. If you were here a couple of weeks ago, hopefully you remember me. I talked about evangelism and mission and what that board is all about. Here on behalf of that board. Today, I'm here on behalf of the capital campaign. I'm the capital campaign director, and it's myself and Carrie Schlepp that are really the only ones left in some sort of official capital campaign capacity outside of pastor, obviously.
How many years now?
Yeah. When we launched, we had a huge team, and we wouldn't be where we are today without that team. But once it launches, it's kind of like the space shuttle. The boosters go off and the rocket goes forward, and that's the phase that we're at now. So hopefully, I see one. It looks like you should have gotten a brochure, a pamphlet, maybe one of the earliest weeks about that. We developed that at the beginning of the campaign to talk to our congregation and those in the community about the capital campaign. So I invite you to review that if you haven't already. That kind of gives you the history, the why, and all that other good stuff. But I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about some of that during my time today. It's probably, 5 years ago, maybe a little bit more, this congregation put together a group to look at what more we could do to expand the ministry here at Beautiful Savior. And obviously that a wide range of things and ideas came about. And one of the big bottlenecks in terms of what we wanted to do in kind of this next phase of this congregation, if you will, or this next level of growth in congregation, we really didn't have the space. We really didn't. And so this part that you're in right now is the new space that is being funded by the capital campaign. And what it's allowing us to do, it's allowing us to have an expanded preschool ministry, which is awesome. It's been the preschool has been a great ministry that we've offered this community and this congregation. It's been a wonderful way to bring people, not just to Beautiful Savior, while it has, it's brought a lot of children and families to Jesus, which is the real goal. It's allowed us to do already some community type of events where we have folks, organizations here in the city of Olathe that just don't have space to do what it is that they need to do. They're allowed to use this space at no charge. If they want to make a donation, they certainly can. But we've opened it up to the community of Olathe to be able to have community events, community organizations that are here in Olathe that need the space. Obviously, it's provided us with a greater opportunity for fellowship. Prior to this building, we were either crammed in the narthex or I don't know where we crammed. We've only been using this now for a little over a month, I guess. And already I'm like, I don't know how we did the stuff that we did without it. I look at this room is a perfect example, and all the Sunday schools going on. I'm like, where do we put all these people before? But it's allowed us to really make a bigger presence here in Olathe, and it's one to once again at the end of the day, it's about spreading the word of Jesus. A little bit about the capital campaign itself. So we launched it in the fall of 2019. So as John said, when we come up on November of 2022, this year it'll be the third. It'll be the conclude. We're in the third year, so this November will be the conclusion. Will be the end of the 3-year capital campaign. And we set out a goal to raise $2.03 million. I think is what the goal was, or what the pledged amount was. And to date, we are almost there. We're gonna be there before November, which is absolutely amazing. Most people will tell you that in a capital campaign, if you get pledges to raise X, you're gonna get actual receipts of Y. that is usually about 80% of X. And so we're really blessed that we have a very giving congregation. But we set out 3 years ago and through a series of sermons, through a series of fellowship activities, we talked to the members about stewardship, we talked to the members about what the value of this building will bring. And as I said, we got pledges of $2.03 million. The first weekend, our first fruits offering, that Sunday where we come forward with our first offerings, we had an amazing turnout in terms of people bringing forth their first fruit offerings. I think that first weekend was just right at 900,000, which blew my mind that we were able to bring forward that much. And as I said, we are well on the way to hitting that 2.03 goal by November. As John also said, you should also have blue envelopes. One thing we learned from the last capital campaign, which we did, I don't know, 10 or so years ago, and it was a smaller one, it's where we expanded out the narthex. That narthex used to be about half the size, if you can believe it or not. And we did some various other things. Is that as new members came on, they asked, how can we be involved? And that was a huge miss on our part. And so we wanted to take that opportunity in these new members classes to bring you, to engage with you on the capital campaign, and if your heart desires to take part in that. A couple of things that I will say is, John said, and technically is right, the capital campaign will end November of 2022 this year. But we're going to encourage people to continue to give because the cost of this building and all the landscaping and all of that that we had to do is going to be north of $4 million. And so we will gladly continue to take pledges, continue to take contributions to the capital campaign until this building's fully paid off if need be. And so we'll keep putting out the blue envelopes after November of 2022 for those that may choose to. One thing that I will tell you, and this is something that we talked about with the members back in the fall of 2019, your capital campaign contribution should be above and beyond what your normal offerings are, right? So don't dilute your normal offerings to commit to the capital campaign. If it's not within your means or you don't feel the calling to participate in the capital campaign, by all means don't. But this isn't above and beyond what your normal contributions are. The last thing we want to do is to dilute our cash flow that we get on a weekly basis or a monthly basis from our normal offerings to just operate the church. So please prayerfully consider that, if you will. One great thing about, or several great things about, capital campaign contributions is a lot of organizations now, a lot of companies, your employer, may match your offerings to a 501c3 organization. The caveat to that in a lot of organizations now these days, a lot of companies these days, if it's for your normal tithing, they won't match that. But a lot of companies, when you do highlight the contributions that you're making to the capital campaign and share with them a soft copy of that brochure, which is online, they will do that because they see it as more than this is kind of their mentality, more than just religious tithing, but a way to develop and grow the community. And that's truly the case. Now we're doing it through the gospel of Jesus, but that's usually enough to sell a lot of companies to realize that it's also a benefit to the community. So, that's something also you want to look at and think about. And, the statement that John told you, that John highlighted for you, separates that out on your statement of what's capital campaign versus what's normal offering. So it makes it easy for you to do that should you choose. Bottom line, blue envelopes, prayerfully consider being involved in the capital campaign. If you should run out, we have more up in the narthex next to the mailboxes. Most people give once a month, but we have some people that maybe do it on an annual basis or a quarterly basis. Some people will donate stock. We have the capacity to be able to receive stock. And sometimes that's a very easy way for you to give If you have a decent-sized portfolio with some investments that you would like to donate, you can avoid a lot of tax implications with that, and the church receives that, and it's quite useful. We got a lot of that in November of 2019 when we kind of kicked off. So that's a lot of information. I will pause and stop and ask you if you have any questions.
One thing I recall, you mentioned about the investments that depending on age and situation, being at that point now in our lives, you can transfer from an IRA from an account, and you can transfer directly to the church with no tax liability.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you have something you want to fund, usually if you take something out of an IRA, you've got to pay the taxes at the end of the year. Well, if you go from your IRA to the church, there is no tax liability. So, as we talked with my wife and I, said, well, why do we take something out of the IRA, pay the tax, and then we donate it to the church? It's much easier to donate right to the church, not have to pay the tax.
Absolutely.
So there's a number of things that have been set up as part of what Travis and the others were doing to make that giving easier.
Yeah, obviously talk with your investment advisor on how to do that if that's something that you desire to do. But because of this capital campaign, John, who just spoke with you, set up several tools in which we can receive and process that with relative ease. Do we have all the tools we need? Is there some other mechanism out there in which you choose to donate that we don't currently have the capacity to receive? I don't know, but if there is, we will certainly do what we can to get that set up so that we can efficiently and effectively receive that donation if that's what you choose. Thank you for that, Phil. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you one more time.
Yeah, well, once again, my name's Trent. If you have any questions about capital campaign or evangelism missions, please let me know. Every Sunday, I'm in the directory. Thank you for coming and looking forward to seeing you guys for going forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, Ron, did you guys flip a coin who's going today?
Well, not really. I can give you a little bit of background on that. Yes. Hi, everybody. My name's Ron Arney, and this is Dale Shamp.
Hi, Ray.
And we're with the Board of Member Engagement. So, we're kind of in a transition situation right here. So Dale's going to take a look and see what we talk about. Just curious, are there any other groups talking after me?
No,
And this is the last Sunday.
this is the last Sunday.
So I'm batting cleanup.
You are.
All right, that's good, because I've got lots of little things that we're going to clean up, which you may or may not have already done, so if it's redundant, let me know and I'll stop. All right, let me tell you a little bit about Board of Member Engagement. We've been around for about 2 years, okay? So we are actually part of the Board of Stewardship, all right? So Board of Stewardship, you're talking about the financial gifts, and a lot of the focus is on the financial side of things, and not a lot of emphasis was put on time accounts. So we were having our board meetings, and Pastor would attend those, and Pastor was like, really? Is there a need for this board? Because he's kind of a heavy hitter. He will talk to you about, financial gifts, tithing. He does it in his Bible studies. He does it in his sermons. He's not afraid of it, and he'll attack it. So he was looking at our board saying, I'm doing this, what are you guys doing? So we did. We took a good look at ourselves and said, does this board even need to exist? Because Pastor will also tell you, there's no need to have a meeting just to have a meeting, just to have a board. So we said, all right, fine. What do we want to do? Time and counts. Well, what does that mean? So we're like, all right, well, let's figure out what this focus in this board is going to be. So what we did is we took a look at how we could get our members engaged and use their time and their talents. So we have become, I would say, a resource for the staff, for different boards, organizations, committees, and even for the church members themselves. So we're basically working as a liaison. So how can the Board of Member Engagement get a liaison for you? Well, we've done this in a couple different ways. So let's say you know a family member, somebody who's had a surgery, or they can't make it to their doctor's appointments because all their family's out of town. We'll get a phone call and say, hey, can the board member engagement try to set up a ride for us? Because we need to make these appointments. So we'll go through our list and figure out who's got the time, who has a car, who lives near you, and maybe we can coordinate a ride to where you can get to your appointments. And we've done that for several people. Another one is anybody living in assisted living. So we have a few members, not so many now, but in the past we've had 2 or 3 people that lived in the same assisted living place. They didn't have a car, they didn't have a vehicle. Well, there's all kinds of people that live near them that are coming to the same place at the same time. And I did this myself, just stop by the front door, 2 or 3 members would come out, we would bring them on in, they would do their church, Bible classes, whatever they needed to do, and then we would take them home. And it was just those little simple things that the board is doing to help. In addition to that, it's really a good place to, I guess, inform members of the little things that they can do to get involved. So why do you want to get involved when you're a new member? It does a number of different things. One, it gives you a sense of community. So we've been members for about 10 years or so, and when we first started, we didn't know anybody. So we would come in on Sunday mornings, we'd be in the narthex, everybody's talking, having their coffee, eating their donuts. All right, Randy, church time, let's go. And we'd go into church. Go to church, come out, we were the first ones out the door, we didn't know anybody, so we thought, we like the services, we like being here, so that's what we're doing. Eventually, we had some different opportunities. There's like a backpack program, which they talk about a little bit. Have they talked about it in here yet?
Not first couple days, or first couple weeks, I don't think so.
Okay, so that program is where we are sponsoring, I think it's Pioneer Middle School, to where there's a lot of those kids that are lower income, so they don't have food, especially like on weekends. So the principal, maybe a member?
Yeah, he was a member, but he transferred, but yeah, we're still working with.
We're still working at school. So what we would do is you bring in, whether it's Cheerios or breakfast items or lunch items or whatnot, all of these items go into their backpacks on Friday, so they have food for the weekends, and then they get back on the hot lunch programs Monday through Friday. So that was the way we bring in some of that kind of stuff. There's the Turkey Thanksgiving program. I don't know if the church, somebody supplies the turkeys, maybe Catholic Charities, or...
We had an individual doing it, and I don't know who, I mean, she departed, but I think someone is still
great.
sponsoring. And
So there you're maybe bringing in stuffing and brownie mix and canned goods and whatnot. It all comes to church, it all gets boxed up, and it gets donated to different families that don't have Thanksgiving meals. So it's those little things that you can just start getting your foot in the door, getting with those programs. And it's pretty simple. It does make you feel like you're participating. It is a bit fulfilling. But most important, you start learning other people's names. You start associating with people, and that kind of just takes a life of its own. Okay? Trying to think. So for the most part, not everybody is built to want to serve on a board, or they don't want to serve on a committee. One, you might have time commitments. You may travel out of town. Who knows what it is? But I think you would be amazed at the number of things that is going on at the church, Monday through Friday, from 8 a.m. to 9 o'clock in the evening, which, if there's a desire, you can help get yourself involved. It can be a commitment of once a month, once a quarter, once a year, whatever you want to do. So what we want to do, or what I want to do right now, is kind of take you through some of those things so that you know what opportunities exist for you. And what we'll do at the end is, I've got a survey, because you may have a talent or an ability or a skill set. You already did it.
we've got them up here for you. So most of them have been filled out already.
That's awesome. Can we get those?
Yeah.
No? All right.
Yeah, we were holding it for you.
That looks just like mine.
Yeah, it is yours. Or it was the one after you around.
Yeah. All right, great. All right, so let me give you the names of the boards, and you can kind of simulate what those things are. There's the Board of Trustees, So you kind of figure out what the Board of Trustees do. They're doing the maintenance of the building, landscaping, mowing, lights, floor, I mean, anything has to do with the building itself, the Board of Trustees, they can always use help. You don't necessarily have to be on that board, but let's say you have the ability to hang doors. Well, we had one particular member, Schmingdalls, they basically put every door in this new facility in place. I think there was close to 100 different doors. Now, who would have thought that I know how to hang doors would become as to some type of viable mission where you could serve your church, but this happened to be one. You may know drywall, you may know plumbing, you may know electrical. Whatever it may be, you may have an opportunity to serve in that capacity. It doesn't mean you have to do it every month or every week. It could be once or twice a year, it could be a special project. If we know we have those skills, then we'll be able to tap into those. Board of Fellowship is another one. Are you one who likes to be organized? Do you like to socialize? The fellowship kind of takes care of itself. But we have fellowship opportunities as well, whether it's laying out the donuts, cleaning up, stuff like that. Evangelism and assimilation. There I'd say if you know a foreign language, especially Spanish, there's some huge opportunities there because we're working with the, I want to say the Southfield, I always get that confused.
South Point?
South Point, what's it called Southfield?
Yeah.
The South Point apartment complex. And there was a lot of Spanish-speaking individuals there. So if you knew Spanish, you can help translate, communicate. Preschool. Preschool needs help. We have Mother's Day Out programs, childcare, daycare, MOPS. I know that they are constantly asking if we have any extra people. It could be just one Tuesday, once a month, for a couple hours, just to help watch the little ones. That would be tremendous. It's all these little things. It's like I'm saying, none of this stuff is really huge, but it's a great opportunity to help serve and get involved. Youth ministry, you know, that's if you were willing to do some chaperoning over the weekend. You know, they go to Kansas to the state regional state gathering. They have their national gathering in New Orleans this year. So once again, they're going to need some extra people who can drive a van, drive a bus, make sure the kids are doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's all those little things that where the board of member engagement is trying to match up the resources with those different opportunities. Okay? Now I'm going to kind of get into, these are the ones that the board gets asked about all the time. They're not glamorous. They're not even necessarily fun, but they're neat. Okay? Number one, Board of Trustees always says, hey, do you have anybody who wants to pull weeds? Weed pulling is huge. We have all these islands out here, and they're landscaped beautifully, but over the summer, especially like right now when it's getting hot, those weeds are popping up left and right. And I've done this. You can come up on a Wednesday night from 8 o'clock to 8:30. Take one island, pull some weeds. Throw in a bag, throw in the dumpster, call it good. No one even knows you did it. They don't, but you serve in your own capacity. And you know what? You pull up on Sunday morning, you look at that island and go, that looks good. You know, and you kind of did that. They also need a lot of help with, not so much now that we built this addition, but it used to be a huge area for mowing. So we were constantly looking for people who would mow or landscape. If you know tree care, we have a lot of trees and shrubs and stuff like that. We could use your expertise on that as well. So that would be the Board of Trustees. That's just to get a hold, well, you can get a hold of the Board of Member Engagement and we can get you in touch. Or Pam Wellens, who's the chair for that. Readers. If you're a social person, it's real simple. Sunday morning, standing by the door as people are walking in, you're shaking their hands, saying good morning. Maybe you're pointing them to the information desk where they can sign in, give them a mug, a gift bag, whatever it may be. It's super simple. But we could use greeters for both first and second services. So if that's kind of your cup of tea, or your good first impression for anybody who's new, they would love that. Ushers. This is one that I do. Huge need for ushers, especially second service. If you're a second service person, what are you doing? You're passing out bulletins, you're you're ushering up to the communion for the communion rails, and you're doing a little bit of cleanup after church. It takes about 5 minutes. You can sit with your family while you're doing your job. It's kind of cool. So we can use ushers. Scott Bierman is the chair of that. Tall guy. You see him quite frequently in the second service. Or contact us and we'll get you signed up. We'll train you. It takes about 5 minutes for training. Not a big deal there. If anybody knows how to cook, Greg Koontz has his, it's called TLC. I call it Meals on Wheels. That's the way I grew up. But let's say a family member had a baby, or a hospitalization, or a death. What Greg does is he's got a list of names, and he will ask for volunteers to cook a meal, drive it over to them. Might be once a quarter, might be once a month. It just depends how involved or how active you want to be. You can make your, whatever your specialty is, super simple. Drive it over there. You spend literally 30 seconds. Hi, how's it going? Here you go. Let me know if there's anything you need. And the family doesn't have to worry about dinner for that day, or if it's enough, they want it for a day or two. And what we'll do is we may have 4 or 5 people throughout the week. You've got Monday, you've got Tuesday, you've got Wednesday, you've got Thursday, and for the whole week, they've got food. What Pastor likes to say is, many hands makes light work, and that's a perfect situation where if you have 4 or 5 people helping, they don't have to cook for a week. All right? And then this is a little bit different, and one that we've really struggled with trying to find help with. Altar Guild. All right? So Altar Guild is basically getting the altar ready for services, both for first and second service. Putting out the communion ware, making sure the communion ware gets washed, gets cleaned up, getting it prepared for the second, either the second service or the following service, either the night or the following Sunday. It's doing a lot of that stuff after church, which it may take an hour to do. Once again, they'll train you, and it's not difficult. It's a great job for couples, if couples want to do it. So instead of getting out of here, at 11 o'clock, maybe you're here till 12 o'clock, or instead of 12 o'clock, it's 1 o'clock.
With the exception of holidays, it's usually 30 minutes or less.
It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all. So those are some of the different opportunities. Counting has always been a big one, but so much of our offerings now are done online through Vanco, like John was talking about. So there's probably not a huge need, but if that's something that you enjoy, once again, that takes literally, because I'm a counter, it takes us maybe 20 minutes after the second service, and then we're out of here. Now, if you have an appetite for that, you're like, well, those are all great little handy jobs, but I want to be on the board. Every November we start taking nominations for the different boards, whether it's trustees, fellowship. Elders is a little bit different. You probably are here for a little bit before you do that. Evangelism, fellowship, preschool, youth ministry, board member engagement. Let somebody know. Let a pastor know. Let somebody on that board know. Just put the word out. Trust me, we are always looking for people who want to be on these boards. You never are told no. And not of the board members will switch to different boards to get different tastes for things. So just think about it over the next year. That's kind of cool. Takes about, we meet, what do we, 1 month a day, or 1 day a month. And our meetings are about 35, 40 minutes. Super simple. But then we've got a little bit of things we do in a month, but not a big deal. Okay. That's a lot of information. Any questions? Does anything sound good? It's all right, we'll hit you up. That's partly why we fill out those questionnaires, more than anything, so that we've got names, kind of so we know what your background is. So we'll ask. We find that people generally don't volunteer, but if you ask them to do something, they do it. Probably 9 out of 10 times. Like, oh yeah, I'd love to. And that just starts the ball rolling. Okay, so now at this point I was going to have the questionnaire, but I don't think I need to. That's good. That's good. Have you guys talked about the instant church directory at all?
Yes, just a bit, yeah.
Okay, good. Everybody has an account. They signed on. They know the password.
It wouldn't let me get on.
It wouldn't let you get on.
Yeah, there's a little gap from the time we get your information to
Okay.
where we get somebody to program it in to where it goes live. So after today, we're gonna make sure that as long as you filled out one of these and we've got your email address, then you should be, ready to go within the next week.
Very good. Because that's the guy who basically put this whole website together.
So I can help you get, if you request an account, then it sends a notification, so either myself or Ann or somebody goes out and sets it up. So I am looking right now, and if you've gone out, but you haven't gotten like the approval back, just let me know, and we'll get you set up. It takes me, sometimes I'll just set people up in the middle between services or whatever, it doesn't take but a couple minutes.
Is this on the website then where it says request go through that?
This,
It's an actual different website.
Oh, different.
Yeah,
You can find it on our home website.
can you?
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's on the top of the.
Top right hand corner.
Or a link to it.
it's,
Yes, there's a link to it.
this where you come up and you get the online directory, and then you get to where you can hit families, and it'll come up start at A, or you can come up here, pick a letter, and you can go to, we'll go back to, let's see, there's Ron and his family.
Yeah, you know what? Guilty. So I'm the guy who's asking to take your picture, update your photo, update your photo, update your photo. That's about 10 years old. Well, there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. My oldest daughter just had a child, and long story short, she wants to have her own little family picture with her husband and their little baby, Colin. So she didn't want to fall off one and not be on the other one. So she's putting hers on there. And then my youngest is about ready to move out of the house. Well, she is here in August. So she wants her own picture. I'm like, you know what, let's wait till August. We'll do it all together.
I was gonna ask Carrie if next weekend or one of the weekends after during the Sunday school hour, if we can set up to take pictures, get everybody who's not got a photo. That way, if they've got kids, you wanna bring the kids in, we can do it between, services.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I have a lot of pictures. I'm representing Sharon. She just took a picture. I have your picture, correct? Yours is yours?
I don't think that's one.
Yours is a little one. Okay. All right. So we'll be happy to do that. I was going to do it today.